Lily Martinez pressed her small nose against the viewport glass of Frontier Station Alpha. At 10 years old, she was the youngest person living on humanity's farthest outpost in space. The vast blackness of space stretched before her, dotted with distant stars. Her dark eyes widened as something new appeared in the distance. A flash of light burst into existence, making Lily step back from the glass. Where empty space had been moments before, a massive object now floated silently. It looked like a giant crystal cube, but with edges that seemed to bend in impossible ways. Light rippled across its surface in patterns that made Lily's head feel funny when she tried to follow them. "Dad, Mom, come look," she called out, her voice echoing down the metal corridor. Sam and Olivia Martinez rushed to their daughter's side, both still wearing the blue uniforms of station engineers. "What in the world?" Sam whispered, his hand automatically reaching for Lily's shoulder. Olivia tapped her wrist device urgently. "Control room, this is Engineer Martinez. There's an unknown object that just appeared outside the east viewport. I've never seen anything like it." Within minutes, alarms blared throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed in the corridors as the station's automated voice announced, "All civilians, please return to quarters. All personnel report to designated emergency stations." Lily found herself being hurried back to their family quarters, but not before she caught glimpses of adults running, their faces tight with worry. Through the viewport, she saw the strange crystal object growing larger as it drifted closer to the station. "It's not drifting," her father explained when they reached their quarters. "It's moving with purpose." The family huddled around their small communication screen, watching as station cameras tracked the object's approach. Lily noticed her parents exchanging worried glances. "The aliens are all acting strange," her mother said quietly to her father. "The Aquilians especially seem afraid." Lily knew about the Aquilians. They were tall, blue-skinned aliens with 4 arms and huge eyes. They were famous for being the smartest beings in the galaxy and had been the first to welcome humans into space travel 50 years ago. If they were afraid, that was not good news. Hours passed with the family confined to their quarters. Lily tried to read her books and play with her virtual pet, but her mind kept drifting back to the crystal object. When she closed her eyes, she could still see its strange patterns like they had burned into her brain. Just as Lily was finally drifting off to sleep, their door chimed. Ambassador Greg Wallace stood in the doorway, his gray hair messy and his uniform wrinkled. "Sam, Olivia," he nodded to her parents. "There's an emergency council meeting. As the only engineers who've worked with precursor materials, your insight would be valuable." "What about Lily?" her mother asked. The ambassador looked down at Lily with tired eyes. "Bring her. The child care center is closed, and honestly, this concerns everyone on the station." Lily followed her parents and the ambassador through unusually quiet corridors. The normal bustle of the station had been replaced by a tense silence. When they reached the main council chamber, Lily gasped. The room was filled with aliens from across the galaxy. The tall, elegant Aquilians stood in one corner, their 4 hands moving in nervous patterns. The reptilian Draconians, with their scaled skin and imposing height, argued loudly with the furry Medusans. In the center of the room, a hologram showed, the crystal object now stationary just 1 kilometer from the station. "It's the Void Cube," announced a deep voice. Admiral Zorn, the Draconian representative, stepped forward. His scales gleamed under the bright lights, the legendary puzzle of the precursors. An excited murmur ran through the room. Even Lily knew about the precursors, the mysterious ancient race that had vanished thousands of years ago, leaving behind technologies that nobody could understand. "Doctor." Kate Powell, the station's leading expert on alien biology, stood up. "The legends say the Void Cube holds the key to precursor knowledge, faster than light travel without limitations, energy generation beyond our understanding, but no one has ever solved it." "We must approach it immediately," Admiral Zorn insisted, his forked tongue flicking between sharp teeth. "The Draconian Empire claims right of first contact." Arguments broke out across the room. The Aquilians insisted on a scientific approach. The Medusans wanted to form a trade agreement first. The humans suggested caution. Lily sat quietly in a corner, watching the adults fight. She could still see the cube's patterns when she blinked, and now they seemed to make a kind of sense, like they were trying to tell her something. "Enough," Ambassador Wallace finally shouted. "We will form a joint team with representatives from all species. We approach together or not at all." 6 hours later, the first team returned from their expedition to the Void Cube. They came back, pale and sick, holding their heads in pain. The Aquilian scientist could barely stand, all 4 of his arms trembling. "It hurts to look at it," Dr. Alan Burnett explained, pressing a cold pack to his forehead. "When we get close, the patterns, they create some kind of neural feedback. It's like the cube is scanning our brains, but the process is painful. Even the Aquilians couldn't maintain focus for more than a few minutes." More teams tried over the next day. The most brilliant minds from 7 species attempted to interact with the Void Cube. All returned defeated, many physically ill from the experience. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. The cube's patterns danced behind her eyelids. She slipped out of bed while her exhausted parents slept and made her way to the observation deck. She knew it was against the rules, but something pulled her forward. The observation deck was empty. Through the large viewport, the Void Cube hung in space, its surface shifting with complex patterns. Lily walked to the viewing screen that showed close-up images from the station's external cameras. Unlike the adults, the patterns didn't hurt her eyes. Instead, they seemed beautiful and almost familiar, like a song she'd heard before but couldn't quite remember. Without thinking, she reached out and touched the screen. The Void Cube pulsed with light in response. The patterns shifted, becoming more ordered, more focused. On the screen, data readings spiked dramatically. Lily heard gasps behind her. She turned to find Dr. Powell and several aliens staring at her in shock. "It's responding to her," the Aquilian scientist whispered. "First stage activation, something we couldn't achieve in hours of trying." "How is this possible?" Admiral Zorn demanded. Dr. Powell approached Lily slowly. "The neural interface affects adult brains negatively, but maybe a child's brain, maybe a human child's brain is different enough." Lily turned back to the screen, where the Void Cube continued to pulse, in rhythm, almost like it was saying hello. She wasn't afraid at all. "I can see what it wants," she said simply. "It's like a puzzle, but not the kind with just one answer. It wants to know if we're ready." The adults exchanged looks of amazement and concern. "Ready for what?" Dr. Powell asked gently. Lily shrugged, her eyes still fixed on the shifting patterns. "I don't know yet, but I think it wants me to find out." The next morning, Lily sat in the big meeting room surrounded by adults from many different species. Her parents stood protectively on either side of her chair. Sam had his hand on her shoulder, while Olivia kept glancing nervously at the aliens around them. "This is absurd," Admiral Zorn said, his scaled tail swishing angrily behind him. "We cannot entrust the greatest discovery in galactic history to a human child." The Aquilian representative, Scholar Nix, raised all 4 of his blue hands for quiet. "The facts cannot be denied. The Void Cube responds to the child in ways it does not respond to any adult mind, including our most gifted puzzle solvers." Dr. Kate Powell stepped forward with a data pad. She was the station's expert on alien biology and had been running tests all night. "I have a theory. Human children's brains are still developing. Their neural pathways aren't fixed like adults. The precursors might have designed the Void Cube to respond only to minds that are still flexible and growing." Ambassador Wallace nodded slowly. "It makes a certain kind of sense. The precursors were known for their love of potential over achievement." The room erupted into loud arguments again. The Draconians wanted to take Lily to their homeworld for further study. The Medusans offered huge amounts of money to buy exclusive rights to her time with the cube. The Aquilians wanted to hook her brain up to their advanced scanning machines. Lily's father finally stood up, his face red with anger. "Enough! My daughter is not a tool or a resource. She's a child. If she helps with this puzzle, it will be under conditions that keep her safe and happy." Silence fell across the room. Olivia squeezed Lily's hand and spoke next. "We understand the importance of the Void Cube, but Lily will only work with it for short periods each day. She will always have one of us present, and she stops the moment she feels tired or uncomfortable. Ambassador Wallace looked relieved. Those terms seem fair. Does anyone object? Admiral Zorn looked like he wanted to argue, but the other aliens were nodding in agreement. The Aquilian representative even seemed impressed by the parents' stand. Later that day, Lily stood in the newly created Void Cube research lab. The room had been quickly converted from a storage area, with comfortable chairs and large screens, showing the cube from different angles. A special viewing station had been set up just for her, adjusted to her height. Dr. Alan Burnett, a thin man with wild gray hair and kind eyes, showed her how to use the controls. These will let you manipulate the view of the cube. If you see patterns you want to focus on, just use this dial here. Lily nodded. She liked Dr. Burnett right away. Unlike the other scientists who treated her like she might break, he spoke to her normally. I've been studying precursor theories for 20 years, he said as he adjusted some settings. But I never thought I'd see the void cube with my own eyes. Why? Can I see the patterns when grown-ups can't? Lily asked. Dr. Burnett considered this. Maybe it's because children see the world differently. Adults have learned too many rules about what can and can't be done. The precursors might have wanted someone who could think outside those boundaries. When the screens came to life with images of the void cube, Lily felt a strange recognition. The swirling patterns that hurt the adult's eyes looked beautiful to her. She could almost understand what they meant. For the next 3 hours, Lily worked with the images. She found that if she focused on certain patterns, the cube would respond by showing new ones. Dr. Burnett watched in amazement as she intuitively navigated through complexities that had stumped the greatest scientific minds. It's like a conversation, Lily explained. The cube shows me something, and I show it I understand by finding the right pattern to send back. By the end of the session, she had unlocked what Dr. Burnett called the first layer of the puzzle. The cube's outer shell had shifted slightly, revealing new patterns underneath. News of Lily's success spread quickly through the station. That evening, as she walked with her parents to their quarters, people stopped to stare at her. Some looked impressed, others worried, and a few seemed almost afraid. Why are they looking at me like that? Lily whispered to her mother. Olivia sighed. Because you can do something nobody else can, sweetheart. That makes some people nervous. The next day, Lily returned to the lab to find it much more crowded. Representatives from each alien species had arrived to observe her work. The Aquilians had brought special equipment to record the cube's responses. The Draconians watched with narrow eyes, taking notes on slim devices. Dr. Powell took Lily aside before she started. Remember, you can stop anytime you want. Don't push yourself too hard. Lily nodded, but she was excited to continue. As she began working with the cube again, she discovered something new. The patterns weren't just visual, they had emotional qualities too. Some felt happy or curious, while others felt sad or waiting. The cube isn't just a puzzle, she told Dr. Burnett after making a breakthrough that afternoon. It's trying to understand us while we understand it. By the end of the week, Lily had unlocked 3 more layers of the void cube. Each success revealed new complexities, but also new hints about what the precursors had hidden inside. One evening, as Lily was getting ready for bed, she heard her parents arguing with someone at their door. She crept closer to listen. The hegemony fleet has just entered the system, said a voice she recognized as Ambassador Wallace's. They're demanding access to the girl in the cube. That's out of the question, her father replied firmly. I understand, but they've brought 5 warships. The station's defenses won't stand a chance if they decide to take what they want. Lily felt a cold fear in her stomach. She knew about the hegemony, a group of planets ruled by military leaders who believed strength was the only thing that mattered in the galaxy. That night, she dreamed of the void cube. In her dream, its patterns formed a clear message. Hurry. Next morning, Lily insisted on going to the lab earlier than usual. Something in her gut told her time was running out. When she sat at her station and connected with the cube, she pushed deeper into its patterns than ever before. I've never seen anything like this, Dr. Burnett said, watching the readings from her session. You're processing information at an incredible rate. Lily barely heard him. She was lost in the puzzle, following pathways that seemed to open just for her. Then suddenly she hit a wall. No matter what she tried, the cube wouldn't respond to her next attempts. "What's wrong?" Dr. Powell asked, noticing her frustration. Lily frowned. "It's asking for something I don't understand. Like it needs more than just me to go further." Just then, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red emergency lights flashed as the computer announced, "Security breach in Docking Bay 3. All security personnel report. This is not a drill." Dr. Burnett's face went pale. "The hegemony. They must have sent in special forces to take the cube. And you." Chaos erupted throughout Frontier Station Alpha. Lily found herself rushed through back corridors by her parents and Dr. Powell. Behind them, they could hear shouting and the high-pitched whine of energy weapons. "The security team is holding them at Bay 3, but they won't last long," said Peter Rodriguez, the station's security chief who had joined them at a junction. His uniform was torn at the shoulder, and a burn mark showed where a weapon had grazed him. "We need to get Lily to the safe room." They hurried through narrow maintenance passages that Lily had never seen before. The regular lights were off, and only dim emergency strips lit their way. Her father carried her when she couldn't keep up with their fast pace. "What about the void cube?" Lily asked, worried about leaving the puzzle unfinished. "It's still in orbit where it appeared." Her mother explained. "The hegemony can't move it either. Their ships are trying, but it won't budge for them." They reached a hidden door that led to a small, secure room deep in the station's core. It had basic supplies, communication equipment, and bunks built into the walls. As soon as they entered, Peter sealed the door with a complex code. "Admiral, Zorn helped the hegemony forces get on board," Peter explained grimly. "He's been working with them all along. They want to force Lily to solve the puzzle for them alone." Ambassador Wallace's voice came through the communication system. "I'm in the command center. The Aquilians and Medusans are helping us fight back. They've sent their own ships to protect the station." For hours, they waited in the safe room, getting updates from around the station. The hegemony forces were searching every section, getting closer to their location. Lily sat quietly on one of the bunks, thinking about the void cube and its patterns. "I think I understand what the cube wants now," she said suddenly. The adults turned to look at her. "It showed me something important before the alarms went off," Lily continued. "The puzzle isn't just about being smart enough to solve it. It's about why you want to solve it." Dr. Burnett nodded slowly. "That makes sense. The precursors were known for their peaceful sharing of knowledge. They disappeared rather than use their technology for war." Lily looked at her hands. "The cube showed me that it won't work for someone who wants to use it for power or to hurt others. That's why it's hurting the adults who try to solve it alone. They all want something from it for themselves." "But it doesn't hurt you," Dr. Powell pointed out. "Because I just want to understand it," Lily said simply. "I don't want anything from it." A loud explosion rocked the station, making dust fall from the ceiling of their safe room. "That was close," Peter said, checking the security screens. "They're in the next section. We need a new plan." Dr. Burnett was typing rapidly on his tablet. "I have an idea, but it's risky. The void cube seems to respond to Lily's intentions. If we could get her back to the lab, maybe she could convince it to help us somehow." "Too dangerous," Sam said, firmly. "We're not using our daughter as bait." Another explosion, closer this time. The lights flickered. "The station's taking too much damage," Olivia said, looking at the readings on the communication panel. "Life support is failing in sections 5 through 8. If this keeps up..." She didn't need to finish. Everyone knew that if the station's core systems failed, they would all die, not just from the hegemony forces, but from the cold emptiness of space. Lily stood up. "I want to try. The cube was trying to tell me something important before we had to run." Her parents exchanged worried looks. "We'll need a distraction to get back to the lab," Peter said, already planning. "And we'll need help." They contacted Ambassador Wallace, who agreed to coordinate with their alien allies. The Aquilians would create a diversion in the main hub, while the Medusans would clear a path to the lab. 20 minutes later, they were moving through the station again, this time with Peter leading the way. weapon drawn. They could hear fighting in distant sections, but their path remained clear thanks to their allies. When they reached the lab, Lily ran straight to her viewing station. The screens came to life, showing the void cube. Its patterns were spinning, faster than ever before, almost frantically. "It knows we're in trouble," she said. Dr. Burnett quickly set up the equipment. "Whatever you're going to do it fast. The hegemony forces are regrouping." Lily focused on the patterns, diving deeper into them than ever before. She pushed past the barriers that had stopped her earlier, understanding now what the cube needed. "It wants to know if we can work together," she said, her eyes never leaving the screens. "All the different species, not just one trying to get the prize." The door to the lab burst open. Admiral Zorn stood there with 3 hegemony soldiers, their weapons raised. "Step away from the equipment," Zorn commanded. "The child comes with us now." Peter raised his weapon, but they were outnumbered. Lily's parents moved to stand between her and the intruders. "Wait," Lily said, her voice strangely calm. "Admiral Zorn, the cube will never work for you or the hegemony, not because you're not smart enough, but because of why you want it." The Admiral's scaled face twisted in anger. "Move aside or we start shooting." On the screens behind Lily, the Mao void cube's pattern suddenly aligned into a perfect, harmonious structure. A bright light filled the room, so intense that everyone had to shield their eyes. When the light faded, the screens showed something new. The void cube had transformed. Its edges had softened, and its center now glowed with a gentle blue light. "What did you do?" Admiral Zorn demanded, lowering his arm from his eyes. "I didn't solve it alone," Lily explained. "I showed it that humans can understand what the precursors valued most. Working together is more important than being the first or the strongest." As she spoke, the transformed cube began to move. It glided smoothly through space toward the station, stopping just outside the main viewing port. There, it expanded, creating a field of energy that enveloped the entire station. The lights in the lab stabilized. The emergency alarm stopped. Ambassador Wallace's voice came over the communication system, filled with wonder. "The station systems are repairing themselves, and the hegemony ships, they've been pushed back beyond the outer marker. They can't get through the energy field." Admiral Zorn stared at the screens in disbelief. The hegemony soldiers lowered their weapons, unsure what to do. Dr. Burnett was checking the readings from the cube. "It's not just protecting us, it's communicating, sending data to our systems." "The precursor's knowledge," Dr. Powell breathed. "It's giving us access, but not just to us. The data is being transmitted to every species in the Confederation." Lily smiled. She wasn't surprised. In those last moments of connection with the cube, she had seen the precursor's true intent. They hadn't created the galaxy's hardest puzzle to find the smartest beings, but to find those who understood that knowledge was meant to be shared. "The real test was never the puzzle," she said quietly. "It was what we would do once we solved it." The blue energy field from the transformed void cube continued to surround Frontier Station Alpha, protecting it from the hegemony ships. Inside the lab, Admiral Zorn and his soldiers had been contained by Security Chief Peter and reinforcements from the Aquilian Guards. "This is not over," Admiral Zorn hissed as he was led away. "The Draconian Empire will not forget this insult." Ambassador Wallace entered the lab, his face showing both relief and amazement. "The hegemony fleet is retreating. Whatever you did, Lily, it worked." But Lily hardly heard him. She was still connected to the viewing station, watching new patterns emerge from the transformed cube. These were different from the puzzle patterns. They were clearer, like diagrams or maps. "It's showing us things," she said softly. "Important things." Dr. Burnett leaned over her shoulder, his eyes wide. "These are technological blueprints. Look at this one. It's a new type of energy system. And this, I think it's a star map with travel routes we've never seen before." Dr. Powell was working furiously at another station. "The data is being transmitted across the galaxy. Every major scientific center is receiving it simultaneously." Lily's parents stood nearby, watching their daughter with a mixture of pride and concern. The crisis might be over, but something had changed. Lily was different now. "Are you okay, sweetheart?" Olivia asked, placing a gentle hand on Lily's shoulder. Lily nodded, but her eyes stayed fixed on the screens. "I can understand it all now. The cube is showing me how the precursors thought. They were kind. They wanted to help everyone grow, not just themselves." Over the next few days, scientists from across the galaxy arrived at Frontier Station, Alpha, to study the transformed cube. The station became the center of the biggest scientific gathering in known history. 7 different species worked side by side, sharing discoveries and insights. Lily continued to work with the cube each day, but now she was joined by a team of scientists from every species. The Aquilians had overcome their initial jealousy and now treated her with deep respect. Even the Medusans, usually focused only on profit, seemed changed by the experience. One morning, Lily was explaining a particularly complex pattern to Dr. Burnett when she noticed something new about the cube. "It's changing again," she said. Everyone in the lab turned to look at the main screen. The transformed cube was indeed changing. Its blue energy field was pulsing in a new rhythm, and its shape was slowly shifting. "The energy readings are off the charts," one of the Aquilian scientists reported. "But they're stable. It's not dangerous." As they watched, the cube continued to transform until it looked like a perfect sphere of swirling blue and silver light. Then, without warning, it began to move away from the station. "Where is it going?" Ambassador Wallace asked, alarmed. "I don't think it's leaving," Lily said, somehow knowing this was true. "It's showing us something else." The sphere stopped about 10 kilometers from the station. Then it expanded rapidly, creating what looked like a giant window in space. Through this window, they could see somewhere else. A place with different stars, different colors. "That's not anywhere in our galaxy," Dr. Burnett whispered. The sphere window pulsed once, and then a message appeared on all the screens in the lab. The words were in a language nobody had ever seen before, but somehow everyone could understand them. "You have passed the first test. Are you ready for the next?" The lab erupted in excited chatter. The Aquilians were talking rapidly in their clicking language. The Medusans were buzzing with excitement. The human scientists were shouting questions all at once. Only Lily remained calm. She looked at the message and felt a strange certainty. The precursors weren't gone. They had simply moved elsewhere. And now they were watching to see what the younger races would do with the knowledge they had been given. "It's a doorway," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. Everyone fell silent. "The precursors are inviting us to visit." "That's impossible," one of the Aquilian scientists said. "No one has ever traveled between galaxies. The distance is too vast." "That was before we had this," Dr. Burnett said, pointing to the data streaming across the secondary screens. "These equations, they describe a completely new way of moving, through space." A meeting was quickly called with representatives from all species. For once, there was no arguing, no fighting for advantage. They all recognized the magnitude of what was happening. "We need to prepare an expedition," Ambassador Wallace said. "A joint mission with members from all our species." The planning began immediately. A ship would be built using the new technology revealed by the cube. It would be called Unity, the first vessel designed to travel through the doorway to meet the precursors. Lily watched all this with mixed feelings. Part of her wanted to go on this amazing journey, but another part just wanted to be a normal child again. That night, as her parents tucked her into bed, she finally asked the question that had been bothering her. "Do I have to go with them, through the doorway?" Her parents looked at each other, then sat on either side of her bed. "No, sweetie," her father said firmly. "You've done more than enough already. This next step is for the adults to take, but—" "They said I'm the only one who truly understands the cube," Lily said. Her mother stroked her hair. "That doesn't mean you have to carry this burden forever. You showed everyone the way. Now they need to learn to work together without your help." Next morning, Lily made her decision. She would help train the expedition team, teaching them what she had learned about the precursors' way of thinking, but she would not go through the doorway herself. When she announced this to the scientists, there was some disappointment, but Ambassador Wallace supported her choice. Lily Martinez has already done what none of us could, he said. She solved the galaxy's hardest puzzle. Now it's our turn to prove we deserve the solution. Over the next few weeks, Lily worked closely with the expedition team. She found she had a talent for explaining complex ideas in ways that made sense to different species. The Aquilians, with their logical minds, needed different explanations than the intuitive Medusans or the practical humans. Slowly, the team learned to work together without Lily's constant guidance. The plans for the Unity ship progressed rapidly, with engineers from all species contributing their unique skills. Admiral Zorn and his conspirators had been sent back to their homeworlds in disgrace. The Draconian Empire, seeing how the other species were benefiting from cooperation, had sent new, more open-minded representatives to join the project. One day, as Lily was helping Dr. Burnett with some final calculations, the transformed cube sphere pulsed with brilliant light. New information began streaming to the stations. "What is it?" Dr. Burnett asked, trying to make sense of the complex data. Lily smiled. She could see patterns that the others were just beginning to understand. "It's a gift," she said. "A final gift before they let us try on our own. The precursors are showing us how to build something even better than the Unity." The scientists gathered around, amazed by what they were seeing. The plan showed a ship unlike anything they had imagined, one that could not be built by any single species. It would require all their combined knowledge and skills. "They're still teaching us the same lesson," Lily said quietly, "that we're stronger together than apart." 6 months passed. Frontier Station Alpha had changed completely. Once a small outpost at the edge of human space, it was now the busiest scientific center in the galaxy. The new ship, renamed Harmony instead of Unity, was taking shape in the construction dock nearby. Lily watched from the observation deck as workers from 7 different species moved around the gleaming hull. The ship looked nothing like the blocky vessels humans built or the sleek craft of the Aquilians. It had a flowing design that somehow combined elements from all their cultures. "It's beautiful," said a voice beside her. Dr. Burnett had joined her at the viewport. In the months since the cube's transformation, his wild gray hair had grown even wilder, but his eyes were bright with excitement. "It's almost finished," Lily said. 3 more weeks, they said. Dr. Burnett nodded. "None of this would have happened without you, you know." Lily shrugged. She had heard this many times now, but it still felt strange. She was just a girl who saw patterns clearly. "The cube chose me, not the other way around." "Perhaps." Dr. Burnett smiled. "But I think it chose well." That afternoon, Lily attended her final training session with the expedition crew. 30 beings from 7 species would travel on the Harmony. They had been training together for months, learning to understand each other's languages, customs, and ways of thinking. Captain Nora Lee, the human commander of the mission, had asked Lily to give them a final lesson on precursor philosophy. "You understand them better than anyone," Captain Lee had said. "We need your insights before we meet them face to face." Now Lily stood before the crew, feeling nervous despite all her practice. These were the best minds from across the galaxy, and she was just 10 years old. "The most important thing to remember about the precursors," she began, "is that they don't think like we do about winning and losing. For them, if anyone loses, everyone loses." She explained how the puzzle of the Void Cube had been designed not to find the smartest beings, but the most cooperative ones. The pattern she had seen revealed a civilization that valued harmony above all else. They could have conquered the galaxy easily with their technology, she said. But instead they chose to wait and watch, hoping we would learn to work together, on our own. When the session ended, the crew gave her a standing ovation. Many had tears in their eyes, even the Draconians, who rarely showed emotion. Captain Lee presented Lily with a small crystal pendant. "This contains a piece of the original Void Cube material, before its transformation. We'd like you to keep it, to remember what you helped start." The next 3 weeks passed quickly. The Harmony was completed on schedule, its systems tested and ready. The day before the launch, a massive celebration was held on the station. All 7 species gathered to wish the expedition well. Lily stood with her parents watching the festivities. Ambassador Wallace gave a speech about new beginnings and cooperation. Leaders from each species added their own words of hope and encouragement. That night, Lily couldn't sleep. She got out of bed and went to the window of her family's quarters. The Harmony floated nearby, its hull glowing softly in the starlight. Beyond it, the doorway created by the transformed cube still hung in space, shimmering with blue and silver light. Suddenly, the doorway pulsed brightly. Lily gasped as a small object emerged from it and moved toward the station. It was about the size of her hand and glowed with the same light as the doorway. A message appeared on her personal tablet, which she had left by the window. Lily Martinez, we would speak with you one last time. Heart pounding, Lily looked at her sleeping parents. She knew she should wake them, tell someone about the message. But something told her this was meant for her alone. She pressed the response button on her tablet and whispered, "I'm here." The small glowing object outside her window pulsed once, then projected a 3-dimensional image into her room. It showed a being unlike any she had seen before, tall and slender with 4 arms like the Aquilians, but with skin that seemed to shift colors like the Medusans. "Greetings, Lily Martinez," the being said, its voice somehow inside her head rather than in her ears. "I am a messenger from those you call the precursors." Lily stared in amazement. "You're real. You didn't disappear." The being made a gesture that might have been a smile. "We moved beyond, but we never stopped watching. Your solving of the puzzle has brought us great joy." "It wasn't just me," Lily said quickly. "Everyone helped in the end." That was the point. The test was never meant for one being alone to solve. The messenger's colors shifted to a warm gold. "Tomorrow your friends will journey to meet us. But we wish to thank you personally for your role in this meeting of worlds." "I'm not going with them," Lily admitted. "I'm staying here with my parents." A wise choice for one so young. "There will be time later, if you wish to travel. But you have already done something remarkable." The messenger raised one hand and a small light floated from it to Lily. "This is our gift to you, knowledge that will help your mind grow as uniquely as it has begun." The light touched her forehead and Lily felt a warm sensation, like drinking hot chocolate on a cold day. Images and ideas flowed into her mind, not forced upon her, but offered like presents she could open when ready. "The others will receive different gifts suited to them," the messenger explained. "Together these gifts will help all your species take the next steps in your evolution." "Will we become like you someday?" Lily asked. The messenger's colors swirled thoughtfully. "Perhaps. Or perhaps you will become something new that even we cannot imagine. That is the joy of growth. Its end cannot be predicted." The image began to fade. "Farewell, Lily Martinez. Remember that the greatest puzzles are never truly solved. They simply lead to larger questions." The next morning, Lily joined the huge crowd gathered to watch the Harmony depart. Her parents stood proudly beside her, unaware of her nighttime visitor. Captain Lee and her crew waved from the ship's boarding ramp. In a few minutes, they would begin their historic journey through the doorway to meet the precursors. "Are you sad you're not going with them?" her father asked, noticing Lily's thoughtful expression. She shook her head. "No, I've done my part. And besides," she touched her forehead where the messenger's gift had entered, "I think there are still plenty of puzzles for me to solve right here." As the Harmony's engines powered up, Ambassador Wallace joined them. "Your daughter has changed the course of galactic history," he told Lily's parents. "What do you think she'll do next?" Lily's mother smiled and put her arm around her daughter's shoulders. "Whatever she wants to, that's what all children should get to do. Choose their own path." The ship lifted gracefully from the dock and moved toward the shimmering doorway. The crowd cheered as it approached, then fell silent in wonder as the Harmony entered the blue-silver light and vanished. Lily watched the empty space where the ship had disappeared. She thought of all the incredible things the crew would see and learn. But she also thought of all the possibilities waiting for her here, friends to make, places to explore, and new puzzles to solve. She looked down at the crystal pendant Captain Lee had given her. Inside it, tiny patterns swirled, visible only to her. They formed words in the precursor language which she could now understand. Every child who dares is a universe of possibility.